Hello, welcome to Something Spooky. My name is Terry Pearson, and I'm going to be reading stories from my new book today, No More Days. It's a collection of short, scary stories. You can find it on Amazon. All of the stories are exactly 1,000 words long, and you can find videos of me reading other stories from it on my page. Today I'm going to be reading The Night Is. Clarissa knew the house was empty. She had checked every corner like she always did before going to bed. So when the large spectral man bound through her doorway out of nothing, it was the kind of fear that makes you forget who you are. Deep and primal, a chill and panic washed over her like goosebumps on her soul. It was a shadow person, the kind Clarissa had encountered before, that woke her up screaming and kicking, flailing around in her sheets like a fish in a net. Only this time she wasn't asleep. She had already woken up from a nightmare. The being before her was real, emerging from nowhere and charging her in her bed. It was on top of her, pinning her down like a fire truck had been parked on her chest. There were just holes where its features would be, and its touch felt like ice-cold sand. The gaping void of its mouth moved over hers and began to suck everything that made her a person from her meat and bones. The next day, Clarissa moved through town like nothing had happened. Dressed in a warm coat with a red scarf and yellow beanie, she went to the bank, the grocery store, the farmer's market, and the post office. Leaving the market, she happened across an elderly man, 75 years or so and alone, who had dropped a bag of red onions and tomatoes and was struggling to gather it back up. Pretending to help him, she sucked his soul out of his wheezy old mouth in the cargo space of his Kia. She went to the post office to drop off a blender she had bought online and was returning. That night, she waited with her door open for her shadow lover, but he never came. She eventually dozed off and dreamed of dandelions, something about playing in a field across from what was her grandmother's house when she was a kid. The next day, she awoke weak and tired and only managed to down half a cup of coffee and the corner of some toast she burnt in the air fryer. She couldn't concentrate at work that day. Checking patients in to see Dr. Bryan, she twice so completely spaced out in the middle of talking that the doctor pulled her aside later to see if she was all right. She ate his soul out of his eyes on the stiff exam table. When she went home that night, she waited for the cops to come. They had asked her some questions about that floozy nurse Madeline. After that floozy nurse Madeline had found Dr. Bryan's stiff corpse splayed on the table like taxidermy. She has told the police, yes, she had talked to Dr. Bryan, but no, she didn't know why he was suddenly found shriveled and deader than roadkill. They never showed up, and neither did her night visitor. She realized she was yearning for it, waiting with impatient breath for that smooth shadow shape to charge her through the doorway. It never came, and she woke the next morning feeling like a flu, lethargic, drained, and tingly in all the wrong ways. She was once again no match for her coffee and stumbled out the front door to a gray morning without even trying to eat. A thick fog did nothing to aid her aimlessness as she shuffled down the sidewalk without direction. Eventually, she passed a man working on his lawn with ceaseless attention, even though the job already seemed done. Feigning to fall, she swallowed his soul when he came over to check on her and left his cold body beneath a curtain of mist. Feeling much better, she followed the sidewalk to a nearby park with a walking trail. Passing kids in swing sets and parents on benches, she casually strolled into the little forested area that was bordered by a small body of water which streamed out into a tiny creek. She laid down in the grass, kicked her shoes off, and shoved her toes into the mud at the edge of the water. Dozing off, she saw dandelions grow from the pond to the impossible sizes, up and up, past the trees until they were bigger than buildings and still reaching for the sky. They clustered and bundled together, choking the space like thickly tangled vines. The sun turned the red of cherry limeade, and rain clouds formed but didn't release. The trees bent and waved like a mirage, and the far-off noises from the park became the echo of a slow dripping sound. Clarissa drifted in this dream space, gone from everything, until something jolted her awake. Suddenly the world was harsh and bright again, green, blue, and orange, and the distant screams of children drilled into her ears and under her eyes. The shadow was standing above her, right there in broad daylight, like an umbrella at the beach. She felt that fear again, the kind that had her scrambling up and running before she even knew what was happening, and for the first time in days realized she did not want to see that faceless visitor. There was a new sensation in her, something she seemed to learn intrinsically, that this thing still wanted more from her. She knew that the next time it fed on her, she wouldn't come back, and wondered if it would be like the string of bodies she left around town, or if she would even exist at all. Something urged her that she was about to be whisked away, like anticipating the drop on a roller coaster. She ran and ran, completely unaware of her surroundings, until she crossed into a busy intersection and was completely obliterated by a husky moving truck. Gone in an instant, the last thing she thought of was that cherry limeade sun and the dandelions towering up to the sky. There was something waiting for her on the other side that she yearned to go to. That was The Night Is from No More Days. Please check it out on my page. Thank you.